How we do, boys? Welcome to the 12th Man Podcast. Bit of a strange one today with no Steve Jackson while he's off sunning himself. Got myself, Jamie Dalgano, we've got John Donovan, and we've got Mr. John Cutler. How's everything going, boys? All right?
Yeah, all good, yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, spot on that. Yeah, good. Yeah, I was just going to say, Jacko's been in touch. He's taking part in the World Jägerbomb Championship in Magaluf. So I don't know how he's got on, but I know that he's been putting plenty of training in.
I know the answer to that. He'll have one known Jacko.
Too true. Well, hope he's enjoyed the break. Obviously, while he's been away, we've had Derby Day up at Sunderland, and which obviously didn't go our way. So we'll be talking through Sunderland today. We'll also touch on what's going wrong at the moment, what needs to change, and we'll also look at the Stoke City game coming up at the weekend. So we dive straight into Sunderland away. Obviously, the derby, it's not a derby for them unless they beat us in the derby. Then it's a derby. A bit of a strange day, I have to say. I think I don't know about yourself, JD, because I know you were up there. It just felt like a strange one from the off. From the moment we landed in Sunderland, it just felt like a strange atmosphere. Don't think I've ever been in an away ground this early, is what the police got us up there for. I think we were in there for quarter to 11 o'clock. And then yeah, as the day panned out, what were your thoughts, JD?
Well, yeah, at past 12, I don't like them kick-off times, whether it's home or away. So it was a bit of a nightmare start. Although, you know, we got ourselves somewhere in Billingham to have pre-drinks and breakfast, which set us up nice. But we had to, along with all the other coaches, had to meet up with the police at services on the A19, and then, like you say, get to Sunderland for a stupid time. And once we got in the ground, because I mean, again, you stood queuing up, waiting 15, 20 minutes to get into the ground, and then up the 999 steps. I can see why they want us into the ground. I mean, I don't know whether you noticed, Dally, but the prices, the concourse prices. I mean, people go mad. People go mad at the Borough, but £6.50 for a pint, and there was no beer, no bitter. I drink bitter. There was no beer, so I had to have lager at £6.50 or dark fruit cider at £6.50, which I'm not that keen on. So I went for Guinness, £6.95. Are they having a laugh? This is the North East. It's not Wembley. It's not the Etihad for an Oasis reunion concert. It's ridiculous. £7. So I only had about 5.
I haven't dead checked my bank account yet, because I think I had 7 in there, and even 7 pints before the game didn't make us look any good. So yeah.
Well, I wish somehow the card machines had failed like they did in Middlesbrough against Preston when we all got free beers after the match. I don't know about you, but I walked out of that ground at Preston. I was like Oliver Reed.
Invoicing coming now.
Well, probably, yeah. But I'm just going to say I was using somebody else's card anyway. Go on.
Too true. So obviously, while we were in the grounds, Cuts, you were watching from home. The team comes in about 11:30. We went with Senny Dean and goal. We had Luke Ayling, Edmonds, Clark, Borges, Isaiah Jones, Aidan Morris, Tommy Conway, Hayden Hackney, Finn Azaz, and Latte Lath. What were your thoughts on the team going into the game, Cuts?
Personally, I thought it was enough. And I know they've started well, Sunderland, but I wouldn't swap our squad for theirs. I thought it was enough where we'd not only get a draw. I thought I've quite fancied us to win the game, to be honest. I was happy enough with the starting lineup. As we'll go into a little bit later, I think if going forward, if McGree's fit, he has to start. We'll talk about Duck as well a bit later on. I was really impressed with. So certainly for the Stoke game, it'd be big changes. But for Sunderland, I was happy enough.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that when that team came out, given that Sunderland leaked 3 goals against Plymouth, even though Sunderland have been on a really good run, that gave us quite a bit of hope and optimism that is today the day it's going to click. If we get the first goal, could it be a repeat of last season? Obviously, it wasn't to be. JD, what were your thoughts on as the game progressed then?
Well, first of all, the team come out and I was quite pleased, with the team, and it looked a strong team. We had in my opinion, a strong back four. Conway, Lath, Morris replacing Barlasser. So yeah, I thought it was a good team. I thought it'd give us plenty of energy, and I was quite confident. At the kickoff, but as the game progressed, it was very much like what we've seen in a number of games this season, where we have a lot of the ball, but we don't move it quickly enough. We're a bit too patient. Sometimes I think we need to be more direct, and I don't mean direct in lumping the ball forward, but I just mean making forward moves instead of the side to side, waiting for gaps to open up. I mean, one player in particular for them, that Patrick Roberts, we've seen him for us. He played for us, and we know all about him. If he gets kicked early on, if he comes up against a robust fullback, he disappears. He did for us. Yet, time and time again, he cut in on his left. You'd see it again. He'd cut in on his left. Everybody in that upper tier at Sunderland knew what he was going to do when he got the ball. He cuts in on his left. But Borges, he wasn't aware of that. I don't know how, or I don't know why. And it was allowed to happen all game. He needed to be physically challenged, and like I say, put him out of the game. We were the better team first half. We created 1 or 2 chances. We had a great chance with Tommy Conway's header, which really I didn't realise at the time that it was such a good header. The ball to him was placed for him. It wasn't too high. It wasn't, so it was perfect for him just to pick his spot. However, he didn't execute that very well, which was disappointing. And then shortly after, we go and concede yet another, a little bit of a sloppy goal, soft goal. So I'll let you come on that, Dally. I mean, up to that point, what were your thoughts on the way Borough approached the game?
I thought we started bright, like you say. We had the attempt with Conway, the header. I thought it was a great header, but again, he's hit the bar. If that goes in again, you're thinking this is it, but he's hit the bar. You're thinking, okay, another chance will come. I think shortly after that, I think someone were lucky to stay down at 11 men, because I thought the tackle on Lath, just outside the box, I think it was, in this day and age, quite possibly a red. I think we saw a tackle in the Preston game from, was it Sam Greenwood, and he went for pretty much exactly the same. But then from that, obviously they go up the other end. They have a shot, and I think it come off Edmondson, and it's parried it away from Senny Dieng. It's a cheeky finish by the young lads. Was it Rig up front? It was it was a composed finish, and fair play to them. If we score that, we're absolutely over the moon. And I do think we were the better team in the first half. But the second half, I think you're right in the fact that we ran out of ideas, but we don't have a plan B. It was the same 3 substitutions he brought on in the second half that he brought on in the second half against, was it Preston at home a couple of weeks ago? It was the same 3 subs. And nothing really changed in that game. So when the 3 subs came on, I wasn't really expecting much of a change because it was the same formation. The players slotting in exactly the same positions. And I haven't seen enough yet of Hamilton to really get me off my seat and excite me and think he's a game changer. Stoke, I'm still out. I'm thinking, okay, he's got a big reputation, and I think he's a little bit more direct. And Bergzorg, did he get a touch? I don't remember him touching the ball.
Yeah, he did, but it was not. It didn't come to anything, and it wasn't really in a particularly dangerous place. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, to be fair, neither keeper had a great deal to do, and that for a so-called derby game or a game where local rivalry and passionate support comes as standard, it was a fairly tame game in my opinion. Like I say, neither keeper had a great deal to do. There wasn't sort of that many clear-cut chances that you could count them on one hand. Yeah, it was disappointing as a spectacle. Obviously, Sunderland fans went away. They were happy, 1-0. Yeah, they're happy, over the moon, as would we be. But we are focusing on the way we performed, and yeah, it was disappointing. You can't gloss over the fact that we've got issues in trying to break teams down, and we need to change something, because if we don't, this will happen on a regular basis because teams are becoming all too familiar with how to set up against us.
How did it look on the telly, John?
Well, I mean, we can sugarcoat the Conway thing all you want, but it's an absolute city. He's got to score it. He'll know more than anyone else. He's got to score that all day long. There's good balling from Jones. It's got to be a goal. The red card, for me, it was a red card, but it wasn't. I don't think it was a stonewall red card. It's not like something that obviously we want us to win, and would have been better for us if it had been a red card, but I don't think it was a stonewall red. I think it was a bit overzealous. Obviously, we'd have took it. You mentioned there about the type of football we're playing, and it seems really slow. Like even under Carrick, when we had Crooks, under Wilder, Danks-less and Jones, the ball was getting moved about pretty quickly, and we were trying to play balls in behind the defence. And the frustrating thing for me is that's not happening. But when we brought Bergzorg on, I don't care about fancy football. He's a big unit. It wasn't working for 75 minutes. Why didn't we throw the ball into the box? We're getting beat 1-0 in what for me is the biggest game of the season. It's definitely a derby. And we were just passing it around even with 2 minutes left. Get the ball in the box. I don't understand. It's all nice seeing nice football, but you need results. And let's be honest, we've been a bit underwhelming performances this season so far. And we're one of the favourites to go up, not just in our eyes, in the eyes of the pundits. So it can't continue like this. He's got to have a plan B, and we haven't got one. We definitely haven't got one. We played the same football in the 90th minute as we do in the first minute, whether we're winning or losing. Look at the kick-off. We kicked it off, played it back to the centre-halves, and he had all the ball for about 15 seconds where they were just happy to stand off. And we had hold of it, and I was thinking, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? It's you could see their game plan after 15 seconds. So it's down to us to break teams down. You can't criticise them for sitting behind the ball. It's down to us, and it's down to Michael Carrick to come up with something that's going to work against these teams that are going to sit deep. So, yeah, frustrating all day long was frustrating for me.
I think I'm not a massive one for looking at stats and stuff and all this XG and all that. It goes over my head, and I thought, and obviously the lead up today, I thought I'll have a quick look because I haven't brought myself to watch it back yet, all the way through. 588 passes. Honestly, I'll take watching me if I went on the chase. Pass. It was absolutely. It got to a point where I got asked about my cousin texted me and he said, what do you think of DJ? Well, we pass it around really well. And then it goes back to Senny Dieng, who decides to just lump it in the middle of the park. Then we have to win it back. And then it just, like he said, it just doesn't seem to be a forward pass or a... And that's the frustrating thing, because we've got the players to do it. And we've proven that we can do it. I've seen comments on social media of people saying that we've become boring to watch. Let's not knock it all together, because we've seen some dross. But sometimes in that dross, we pump the ball forward. And that's just sometimes not what we're doing. And we've got to change it up at times, because how many teams this season have completely sussed us out?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that is a big issue that Carrick's got to sort out. I mean, previous games, we've created and missed a bag of chances, but we didn't on Saturday. You know, I don't think we had that many clear cuts. Watching the highlights and seeing Conway's header from a different angle from behind the goal, it should have been a goal. That was probably the only clear cut chance we had. Although I did think that Lath possibly could have done better when the keeper came out and he lobbed the keeper. I know he was stretching to get the ball, but if he just gets his toe further around that and he pulls it on target, that's a goal. And I thought that was a half chance. But other than that, you know, previous games we've been missing 6-7 gilt-edged chances. We didn't create anything on Saturday, really, compared to other games. And, you know, the fact that rival managers are coming out now and saying we knew what we were going to get from Murray, it's worrying. It's quite worrying. So it's something that Woodgate, Grant Ledbetter, and the two Carricks are going to have to sort out, because if it continues and you know, Gibbos give the manager exactly what he's wanted in the transfer market, we've speculated heavily on good players, and if results aren't forthcoming, we all know the time of year when Gibson likes to act, and it's approaching. So we need to start picking up the wins.
I think when you
if you look at the...
Go on, Coach.
Go on, mate, you're all right. I think if you look at the wingers on both teams on Saturday, Roberts and Mundale, or whatever his name was, the guy, they were both massive threats. They were getting the ball and they were trying to get forward, passing forward, where our wide players were getting the ball and passing it back. Until Doe came on, none of our wingers tried to beat their fullbacks, not once. He was the brightest spark, and he was only on for 20 minutes. Every time he got the ball, he was looking to get past the man and get the ball in the box. Their wingers were doing it all day long.
Yeah, I seem to remember him in the second half. I think it was probably one of our only chances in the second half, beating the fullback and giving it to, I think it was Morris, whose shot went wide. And that's really the only moment that stood out for me in the second half, attacking wise. And like you say, it's Stoke being more direct. I'd like to see if we can get on form. I'd like to see Jones on one side and Doak on the other, and them going at it. Jones gets a lot of flack. I think when he's on it, I think he does put. We've got to remember he's a championship player. We're a championship team. I think if every end ball was on a plate, I don't think he'd be here. And I think sometimes we've got to remember that. But at the same time, we've got to get bodies in the box to get on the end of these chances, because how many times have we put balls across the box and there's no one there?
I mean, we'll probably come with it later when we'll talk about changes. When we'll talk about changes for Saturday, and you can go back on podcasts for over a year. I'm a big fan of Jones, but if Jones starts ahead of McGree on Saturday, I'll be amazed. I'd have Dorkin on one side and I'd play McGree on the other side. I'd bring Jones out for a game or two, because I don't think he's been great this season. But like I've said in the past, I rate him really highly. I just think it's time for him to come out for a couple of games, mate.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, we've got to hope that Saturday does bring changes, because we need 3 points Saturday. I mean, the points no good. Defeat's unthinkable. We need to win on Saturday, and for 3 points, and also for the revenge of the humiliation in the Carabao Cup. But I think sometimes as well, we try to score pretty goals, and to be fair, it doesn't really matter. A goal's a goal. We'd all like to see well-crafted goals, a finish from the end of a 6 or 7 pass string of passes. We'd all like to see that, and it would get us up our seats. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a points-driven business. We need points. We need to keep ourselves up the top half of the table. Are we 12th? Is that right? In the table, and like I said, for what we've done in the transfer market and the players that we brought in, that isn't good enough at the moment. I know in some games we've been unfortunate, but you can't say that for too long.
I think people keep looking at last season, and it's getting to the point where you look at the backing that he's had in the transfer window, and the players that we've brought in, and people keep referring to where we were this time last season, and it's kind of it was kind of all right for a couple of weeks, and you think, oh, we've got more points than we did last season. We never got anything until October, but that's where we lost it. That's where we ran. We then had to play catch up, and we ran out of steam trying to play catch up, given the head start we'd given other teams. I think if you look at the league now, and West Brom are top with 16 points, and we're on 8 points. So, you know, they've already got that lead on us. And really, I'd have liked to have thought we'd have been challenging for the top 2, if not going for that third playoff spot. I know it's early in the season, but we have to start hitting a run pretty soon. We've all said it's got to click, but we need to start hitting that run soon if we seriously want to push to go up.
Yeah. I don't think there's things that are massively wrong. I just think it's maybe different personnel in different positions, and take players out who have had the chance this season who haven't performed. I don't think there's a great deal wrong, but we do need to change things. We do need to improve, because sitting around that mid-table area and letting the teams in the top 2 positions especially get away from us, it isn't helpful at all.
What are your thoughts on Hackney at the moment? Cuts.
Well, sorry.
He was poor on Saturday. You can't sugarcoat it. Yeah, he was giving the ball away far too much, and he's another player that I like, Hackney. But he was poor on Saturday. I think we can say he's still a young lad, but he's had 2 seasons now pretty much in the first team. It's got to be consistency. He's like when we had Johnny on the podcast last year, he was saying that he thinks he's good enough to play for a top half Premier League team. Well, to do that, he's going to have to start performing week in, week out for us. I like him. There's no way. He's not one of the players I'd take out the team on Saturday, but I certainly think he'd have got the hook on Saturday if Howson had been fit.
Yeah, and
he was very wasteful, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was very wasteful. There was a number of balls where he was just looking to thread it through the eye of a needle when it really wasn't necessary. There was other options available, and it just broke the movement down at the time. I know, again, you talked about stats earlier, Dally. You can look at Hackney's stats and completed passes, this, that, and the other. It's quite good, but you know, stats they don't tell a true story all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I ask it is he was one player that did stand out, that did frustrate us a little bit at the weekend, because you think, and he is a big player for us, and I did think he was wasteful. I thought I was wanting him to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And then we got into a debate on the coach on the way home, and is he missing Howson? I think back to the likes of when Dave Wheater played next to when he played next to Woodgate, when he played next to Pogatet, and then we went to the Championship and he was next to someone like the likes of Sean St. Ledger. It didn't quite work. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think that Howson probably does the idea that Hackney doesn't need to do. And like I say, I was pretty frustrated with him. Another player that not going to go on his back too early on, but I was a little bit on the fence with, was the left back, Borges. It was a little bit like watching Engel, but this lad's got a Brazilian passport. I thought he was quite wasteful in possession as well, and put us under a bit of under pressure unnecessarily at times. I know he's adjusting to the league. I know he's adjusting to the team, but sometimes I'd rather give the ball by hoofing it up and giving us a chance to get out rather than trying to pass it across the box and losing it there.
I don't think he got a great deal of support, did he? I don't think Azaz gave him a great deal of support. But yeah, he didn't have his best game. And let's not sort of, like you say, rip him up at the moment, because it's 3 games in. We do need to see improvement in a lot of players, and hopefully we'll see newer players becoming more familiar with the team pattern. But like I say, coming to Saturday's game, I think it's quite big, to be honest. I think for fans, it needs to be a win to give us a little bit of hope, because, like I say, at home we've seen dismal draws against Preston and Portsmouth, and a scrappy win against Swansea. I think we need to get 3 points to make our league position look healthier, and also give some cheer to the fans. Because if we don't get the 3 points, all these murmurings and all this chatter on the socials will just get louder and louder.
Yeah, I mean, before we probably move on to what changes we'd make, looking back at Saturday, obviously we always go man of the match, so we'll do our rounds. Cuts, who did you go man of the match?
Stoke.
Yeah. JD?
Yeah.
Edmondson. I think I gave him it last week as well, but I didn't think he'd done anything particularly wrong. He was unfortunate with the goal, but I just thought, other than that, he was fairly solid.
Yeah, I went Morris. Obviously, I know I'm a bit of a fan. Thought he was everywhere, but I think it's one of those games that we all want to put to bed. So we'll take it forward. We'll move on. Obviously, we're looking at Stoke at the weekend. We said, I know you alluded to it earlier, Cuts, what changes would you make? What would you go with?
For me, it'd be Doak, McGree, Azaz in the 10, and I'd play Conway ahead of Lathamy. That'd be my 4. I think he's been quite impressive, Conway, since he came here. It's easy as fans to say, as the Ipswich move 10 last said a little bit, I'm convinced he's going to score goals for us this season. But he doesn't look the same player at the moment. So what you did yesterday doesn't matter. It's what you do for us today. And I think Conway's form recently has been better than Lath's. So that's why I go with him. That'd be my 4. I think Azaz is better in a 10 rather than playing out wide. So I think he's been a bit of a victim of Conway's success because they want to play Lath and Conway. But for me, that'd be my front 4. I don't know how close Vandenberg is to getting back, but he'd be back in the team as well. Obviously, you couldn't drop Clark, and I know John gave Edmondson the man the match, but I think Vandenberg's that important to us. I'd bring him back. If Howson's fit, I'd play him ahead of Hackney. There's no way you can drop Morris. I think he's been our most impressive player this season. So, yeah, it might sound harsh on some of them lads to be out the team. But we've got to start winning games, like John said, and you alluded to it earlier. We can't keep being 10, 12. I mean, if we don't win Saturday and we've got West Brom on Tuesday, they're top of the league. It could be 14 points. How are you going to make 14 points up? You're pretty much writing off one of the spots already. It's a big game. It's not a make or break game for Carrick, but I think it's a big game for our season. We need to get going, and we need to get going quick.
Definitely. With regards to McGree, I think if McGree's fit, I think he's that good of a player. You have to play him.
100%.
I know he's had the injury, and I think I touched on it a couple of weeks ago. I think obviously we've been managing him back from this injury. But if that guy's fit enough to sit on the bench, he's fit enough to play. And I'd be getting him in that starting 11 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. JD, would you go with the same changes, or would you mix it up a little bit?
Well, I would start with Doak, like John Cutler said. I would love Howson back in the midfield, and I would love McGree back in the midfield. And the ones that would miss out would be Jones, Azaz. Even I do like Azaz, but I just think on Saturday, if we've got Howson, McGree, and Morris all scrapping in the middle, I think Stoke will find it difficult. And the other one who would lose his place, I'd agree with John, would be Hayden Hackney. I just think they've had some good pairings. Hackney and Morris, they've looked good together in games. But I just think get Johnny Howson in, settle things down, give Morris and McGree a little bit of freedom in the middle of the park to get at Stoke and, hopefully create chances for Conway.
Is that would you play McGree as the 10 then instead of Azaz? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like seeing McGree out on the wing. I think you've got to get him in the middle, either in that number 10 or a little bit deeper. But I'd play him more central.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I think in the number 10 role, I think he'd be brilliant in this team. In the number 10 role, I think with Conway and the runs that Conway will make. And I like what you said there, John, JC. I think that if we have Lath on the bench, Ben Gibson at the weekend won't want Lath running at him on the 75th minute after Conway's obviously ran him ragged. I think he'd be a good option. Sometimes Bergzorg, we're not playing to, I suppose, what we would probably deem his strengths because he's a big lad. He's probably better with the ball on the floor, but we need to go more direct. If you've got Lath, obviously we can kind of keep the system the same as Carrick wants to do, but you've got the legs and you know where Lath's going to, the runs he's going to make, and for a fact he's chasing everything down. Any lost cause, he's chasing it and he's putting pressure on the opposition. So personally, I'd really be open to see McGree in the team at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean the back four. If Rav's fit, then yes, he's showing he has to start. But if not, I'd be happy with the back four that started at Sunderland. And I just think that Borges will get more support on the left at home with the formation that I mentioned.
So at the weekend we've got Stoke City obviously coming up to the Riverside. They were only here a month ago, and it was a night obviously we all wanted to forget theirs. Obviously they beat us 5-0. We've touched on the team. I think it'll be obviously a massively changed team from the last time we played them. But since we've played them, they've obviously let their manager go. Brought obviously a change in of coach. He's now had a full week with the team. They got beat on Friday night with a 1-0 up at Hull against Hull at home, and obviously went on to lose that game 3-1. What are we thinking at the weekend? What? Obviously, we've talked about the team and how we're going forward. What are we expecting from Stoke?
I don't know. I've no idea. If I'm totally honest, I don't know. Because I don't know a great deal about the new manager. I know that obviously did he come from Norwich? Was he a coach at Norwich?
Yeah.
So really, I don't know how he sets up his team. I don't know how they start their attacks, whether it's from the back or whether they're a bit more direct. I'll be totally honest with you. I don't know anything about Stoke City. So just over to you, Cuts.
I'm a little bit more. I think you're right. I think I'm a little bit more. Well, I was more fearful if they'd come back up with the same coach. Was it Schumacher? Was that right? Is that
Steve Schumacher?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have been a bit more concerned if they'd come back up with him because he'd seemed to suss us right out. You know, they had a game plan. They stuck to it. Yeah, we had a massively weakened team with younger players in there making the debuts. But he knew that the left-hand side was our weakness. They took advantage of that. Everything they hit went in that night. And sometimes you get that luck. But like you say, it is going into the unknown because nobody really knows a lot about this this new setup at Stoke. So yeah, I mean, John Cutler, what are your thoughts on the game?
I mean, it might sound a bit disrespectful to Stoke this, but if we perform to how we should be performing, we will beat Stoke on Saturday. I have no doubt in my mind about that. The doubt in my mind is, will we perform? I have, like I say, if we play at our potential, we've got quality players there all through the spine of the pitch. We've got good attacking options. It's one of them, isn't it? It's either going to be a nervy. If we win, it's going to be a nervy 1-0 win. But it wouldn't surprise you if we scored early. If there was a 10-goal swing round, we'd beat them 5-0. That'd be mental. But it would be just like Borough. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we thrashed them, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it was a nervy 1-0. So you never know who's going to turn up at the moment. I'm sure they'll have got a good rollicking after Saturday's performance anyway for a derby, because like we've already said, there was nothing there really. It was really, really disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you talked about that the Carabao Cup match 5-0. Stoke didn't mess around with the ball. They didn't like when they're in sight of goal. They didn't overdo it. They didn't look for the extra touch. They just sort of put their shots in straight away. 5 shots on target, 5 goals, and that was because they'd done things quickly. They didn't fanny about. They didn't take too many touches. They were fairly ruthless, and you know, we could learn from that. To be honest, we could learn from that. Just get our shots in early.
I mean, you mentioned our left-hand side, and Roberts on Saturday cutting in on his left foot. And you can go back to that Stoke game, and I think 3 of their goals came from players cutting in on the left foot. So either these players are not very intelligent, or the manager is not getting the message across properly. Either way, that has to stop, because how many times do we let players in on the strong side? Engel against Stoke, let the same player do it twice in 5 minutes. It's you've got to. Some of these players have got to start taking a little bit of responsibility and start doing the job properly, because there's no way Carrick will not have told them don't let them cut in on a strong side. Yet we're seeing it time and time and time again, every game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is utterly frustrating that it continues to be the weak spot. And I'd like to think, like you said, we'll go back to the left back earlier on, Borges, who played at the weekend. He needs that support from. It was Azaz on that side of the pitch, wasn't it? He needs that support from the midfield, and I think if we can get that, if we can defend that side of the pitch correct, and we can stop teams from pressuring on us and cutting inside and getting the shots away, hopefully we can then build upon getting the ball up the other end of the pitch start putting the ball in the back of the net, because teams are like you say, they've sussed us out. They've sussed us out early doors. How many left backs have we had in the last 2 years? I think if Bangura was fit, I don't think we'd be having this issue. And I think a lot of it comes as well with the fullbacks. The two fullbacks we talked about, Engel and Borges. We all cried. Well, a lot of people cried out for Ryan Charles. That obviously, I don't think he was a great defender. He was better going forward. Engel has showed glimpses of that. They could go forward and whip the ball in. Are we still, the way that we set up, I think we're still crying out for somebody like Charles?
100%. He was a big miss. Ultimately, he hasn't come, so it's a bit pointless talking about players that aren't here. But
he would
have been perfect in this squad. Absolutely perfect. We all said it, and the club obviously tried to do it. It just didn't happen. But I know John said it's early days for Borges yet, but he's got to be a lot better than he has been up to now. Let's hope he is in the next few weeks.
Definitely. So looking at the Stoke game, we'll go predictions. What are you guys thinking? So JD?
I predict that the club will have the card machine working and we'll have to pay for our beer.
And it'll be £6.95 a pint.
Oh no! If anybody from the club is listening to this and don't get any ideas, don't be paying that. Come on, this is Teesside.
Hold on a minute.
I don't know. They think they can play it in Sunderland.
Between the two of you drank 12 pints at £6.95. They're going to be thinking they're missing a trigger, yeah?
We were in the ground 2 hours early.
Yeah, I could have had a 3-course meal. What else is it to do?
Honestly, I've never ever. I don't think I've even been in the Riverside 2 hours early. It was completely bizarre. The stewards hadn't even started.
Yeah, they're handing jackets out to Borough fans, weren't
they? Yeah, strange one.
Anyway, predictions. I'm going to go 3-1 Borough and Tommy Conway to score.
Okay, brilliant. John Cutt?
I'll go 1-0 Conway.
I'll go 1-1 McGree. Riley McGree makes a score and comeback. Obviously, we put that on. We put the bet on for charity. So hopefully we pull that in this week, and we'll keep you updated for next week. Another talking point that was on socials this week, and you touched on it on Twitter, JD, was a bit of a talking point that was on the coach. Are the club missing Aaron Danks?
Well, it was mentioned on the coach, right, on the way home. And then, funny enough, I got a text message of somebody asking the same question. So that's why I put that tweet out saying, "Are the club missing Aaron Danks?" And there was a lot of replies. Some saying you're looking for excuses. Some saying, it's a possibility because he did play a role in team tactics. I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know. It was just something I put out on Twitter because it was mentioned on the bus, and I got a tweet asking the same question. What do you think, Cuts? Do you think that losing Aaron Danks has been a big miss? Is it affecting our tactical play of how to break teams down?
Yeah, I saw your tweet about it, and people have talked about it. I just think it's a bit disrespectful. Is it Graham Carrick? He's had his badges at FA level. He's a decent pedigree of coaching. For me, if we were winning, but not playing really well, nobody would be talking about it. It's just one of them. I think it's a results thing. Obviously, we must have a high pedigree. He's gone to Bayern Munich with company. But for me, it's just an excuse. I don't see that at all, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like I said,
you don't know what goes on in the background of the club, what goes on at the training ground. Obviously, we tapped into his connections when he first came to the club. Got the likes of my man's come back.
Ramsey.
Yeah, we've got Ramsey. We've got the Aston Villa lads. We brought those in. Cameron Archer. That's what I was thinking of. Cameron Archer. And we tapped into that, and that was, you know, we reaped the benefits of that. And then he was at, you know, once we'd done that, and there was talk that we used them connections. Obviously, he built his reputation at Middlesbrough, then grew. You know, he's had a fantastic opportunity to go to Bayern Munich. Let's be honest, we're not turning it down. And good luck to him over there. People look at it because he was here when we were flying. Again, you don't know what goes on in the background of the club's here, and what he brought to the table and what he didn't. And I think you're right with what you're saying there. But, you know, it's a little bit disrespectful to Graham Carrick. But
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Danks here at the start of last season when we had an absolutely abysmal start? Whose fault was it then?
Yeah.
Well, the start of last season was trying to integrate all the players and everything, wasn't it? You know, so there's that to look into as well. We had a huge number of signings the previous summer, and you know, we had to try and integrate as many of them as possible. But the person that sent me the text is somebody who
Aaron Danks.
No, it wasn't Aaron Danks, no, and it wasn't his family either. But it's somebody who is quite integrated with a few of the people within the inner sanctum at the club, and it was his question to me. Do you think we're missing Danks for our tactical input? And I replied saying, well, I didn't know how influential Danks was with regards choosing team tactics and analysing opposition. He might have known more than me.
I mean, just a quick one as well. What's going on with Lenihan and Fry? I've not heard nothing. He played a bit of pre-season, didn't he, Lenihan? What's going on with them two? It's like just completely off the radar.
They've moved in with Sammy.
Steve and Magaluf.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, Steve, Sam, Abiobi, Lenihan, and Fry have all gone to Maga.
Yeah,
I mean the two big squad players, and like I say, Lennon played a bit of pre-season, and there's just nothing. I haven't even got a clue what's up with either of them.
Yeah, the club have kept it quiet, haven't they? Yeah, bit of a strange one. You like to think they'll be back in, you know, around the squad fairly soon. Fry, it's just gone so quiet on what his injury was and how long. Every time you see a report that comes up from you know, the Gazette when they're asking in the press conferences, you always get the sentence at the end when it goes through the injury roundups, and it just says Fry's nowhere near. Fry's on his way back. But
yeah, that's right. Vandenberg's close, Forster's close, McGree's close. The others are a bit further away, but we don't know what that means.
I mean, Lenihan, for example, I think we missed leaders on a pitch on Saturday. Erling's a leader. Howson does it by example. He's not really a shouter. But Vandenberg, for an 18, 19-year-old lad, we've seen him commanding the back line. And we all know Lenihan does it. He's not afraid to shout and bag orders out. I think that's something we really missed on Saturday. We go on about it all the time. Someone like Grant Ledbetter, Tony Mowbray, having a real go at the lads and saying, come on, you know what I mean? I just didn't see it on Saturday that either. It's a massive thing. It's not all about talent on the pitch. It's about having leaders as well. And that's one thing that worries me about the squad with the current injuries, like Lenihan, I say, Vandenberg and Howson. Where's the leaders on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, Sunderland. There was no scraps on the pitch. There was no intensity. You know, the tempo was poor. I mean, for two local teams, a strong rivalry, surely there needed to be at least one sending off and a broken nose.
I think you're just missing. I think you're just missing having a moan about Dale Fry. I'm sure you just in the not giving him any grief.
Well, now we've brought Edmondson. He's gone from 4th choice to 5th.
So, well, there you go. Even when he does come back, he's got a mountain to climb, hasn't he? To get back into it.
I don't see how he's barring massive injuries at centre half. I don't see how he's going to get in. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean Matt Clark, although he didn't have a brilliant game, Sunderland. He's fairly immovable at the moment, isn't he? You know, he's probably your first choice centre half that you choose.
Yeah, definitely. Right, boys. That brings us to the end of this week's pod. Obviously, we've got our bets in. We'll go for that next week, and we'll see how we get on. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Up the borough.
Up the borough. And I hope Steve brings back his trophy from the Jägerbomb World Championships.
Too true. And his T-shirt, Tam. Spot on, boys.
Up the borough, boys. Right, that's it. I think we're done.
We stop the recording on it.
Still recording.
Yeah.
Right.